What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are rigging out two inflatable kayaks. We're going to talk about how you add accessories to inflatables, and we're going to be testing them out on our Isle Flywater as well as the Wilderness Systems I.A.T.A.K. You guys have seen us already do some testing in these. We've done stability testing. We actually inadvertently did a puncture test. Paul, what happened? Tell the people.
I put a nice hole in the kayak, in the inflatable. So what happened was I was installing this plate, and there are these, they're hard to see, these plastic brackets that you put these screws into. These plastic little sort of brackets, there's no bottom to them, and so there's no bottom to these screws. So other than feel, it's hard to figure out, like, you know, how hard or how far to put this in, and if you go too far, you will pop a hole in the thing, and that's what I did. But I put super glue all over it and then screwed it back in, and I don't hear any air, and actually overnight it's still completely 100% full, so we're golden. But yeah, I had to chuckle at myself, which I usually do.
So that's one of the things when you install accessories on inflatables, including some of the accessories you see in this video. When we add mounting brackets, they come with certain size bolts, screws, etc. And I.A.T.A.K already knows that this is an issue, so I saw a big old warning sign on these switch mount plates that we're going to show you guys. So you never want to over tighten or over screw those in, because it's just going into the inflatable material at that point. So there's your first thing to know before we get into this video.
Yeah, and usually, like, my superpower is not reading instructions and figuring stuff out. This is
mine too.
And then always using a drill when they say don't use a drill.
Impact driver.
This is not the day to do that. This is the time to do it by hand.
Gently.
And just be very, very gentle.
If you have an inflatable, you're gonna see little patches like this. Now, if you don't have these on your boat, there is a way to go ahead and just straight up glue these down to your vessel, if you will, so you can purchase these separately. What you'll need with that, though, is you're going to need something like this. So this is the I.A.T.A.K Mighty Mount switch plate. So this specifically is designed to fit on there. You'll notice it's kind of a different size, right? No other track is going to fit here. You need that 4-bolt pattern. So you make sure you grab these. You also make sure you read the big old warning on the back. You can pause to read for yourself. But this is going to tell you to use the right size screws. This should include, we're going to double check here, we got deck mount screws, and we've got inflatable install. Look at that. So you make sure you use these, right? And that's just going to ensure that you don't do what Paul talked about him doing in the beginning of the video, is you're going to puncture this, right? Hey guy, it's okay. We forgive you. I don't. I'll never forgive you. All right. So you take this, and then it sits right on top here. You take your bolts, which of course are a hex key. Grab the appropriate size hex key, and then you're just going to line this up. You're going to start with one, and you don't need to over tighten these, and they don't go down very far. So, like, I'm already there. This is what Paul was saying happened to him. He essentially thought he had to screw it down a lot more, and then if you do that, you're going to cause issues.
So as you're tightening down, the reason it will puncture is you can see this plate right here is only about 1/8 of an inch thick. It goes all the way through, though. There's no backer to it. So if you go too far, all you're doing is pressing the screw further and further into this. And if this is rigid, it has no give. So what's it gonna do? It's gonna go right through. So just when you feel a little tension, just go ahead and back off and don't even bother going any tighter. As long as this isn't shaking, you're good.
So it's nice and gentle until I'm feeling some tension there, and I'm calling it a day. That's good right there. So that is firmly in place. So from here, what do we do? So you're gonna grab your favorite accessory. This is one of their I.A.T.A.K's universal options for mounting. You're gonna loosen that bolt up. You notice you got these little cross hatches here, right? That's for these plastic tabs. So you're gonna slide this baby in, and then we're gonna put it right in the middle one, tighten that down. And the nice thing about that is, instead of just having the normal track mount tension, you also have these cross tabs. So this is gonna be ultra rigid there. Take your accessory. In this case, we're gonna grab the brand new I.A.T.A.K phone mount, and we're gonna pop that on there. And this is what you can do with inflatables. Let's add the other two, and then we're gonna add a cup holder and some track packs. Let's do it. All right, nerds, we got them all attached. Check this out. So up front here, we've got our cell phone mount. We got a cup holder right in the middle, kind of a convenient location. And then right back here, we got our double track pack. Now, if you don't know, track packs do stack. You can go as high as you want with these, but that'd be weird if you had like 15 on here. We might have mentioned accidentally in the beginning of the video that you could put one right in the center here and make it happen. You can, but then it rotates. So what you want to do actually is go as narrow as possible with the two mighty bolts, the track bolts that I.A.T.A.K has. And once you do that, it's rock freaking solid. Pop your track pack on there, and now you can stow all your extra stuff. So you throw some baits. We got some of the trays. They actually have 3 different types of trays here. So see this? You got your like medium length, your super long baits will be right down here. Stack them up. They actually come with tabs so that they don't even move around at all. And then you've got kind of a terminal tray up top, which is neat. So then you come over to the Flywater here. Paul's done a similar kind of setup. So we've got 2 track packs there, 2 track packs here, a box, and then he's got his cup holder right here. So you're accessorizing your inflatables. All you really need is that switch plate.
So one other thing, so I actually have fished with this a couple of times without any of these accessories. Now, the reason some of this is important is one thing you'll notice on these inflatables, there's like no pockets. There's one little pocket here at the back of the seat, and that's really it. So when it comes to things like car keys, tools you want to keep around, baits, and just one thing is like miscellaneous storage. You don't want hooks floating around the balloon that you're sitting in the middle of the lake. So you want to just have a good place to put all those open hooks and also baits. So these just really solve that problem for you. One of these is all I would really need. We're just kind of showing you the options here. A crate is a good idea. So they also have the short stack, which is basically a mini pack that you can open, and that solves almost all of your needs. So that's another great option if you want to avoid all this other tertiary stuff. If you want to avoid all this altogether, that's fine. There are still options. So check this out. This is the type of thing that I use. You could just see this is the Evolution fishing bag. So there's a small size, that one's 15 bucks, all the way up to a magnum size that's literally twice as big as this for 20 bucks. This is the medium, but it's really nice. They have this D-ring here, so you'll notice there's loops all the way along here, and then there's this like stretchy part right here. You can just stretchy this to the front and just have it on board. This is waterproof, so it takes care of like storage for keys, cell phone, whatever, and then you could just clip it somewhere in the boat. Obviously, I've got just a little carabiner here, so you don't have to buy any of this. One of the nice things about inflatables is even though they're simple, you can solve your problems also really simply and for really cheap.
This isn't the same lake that we started this experiment at.
No,
you guys want to know what happened? We broke a bunch of stuff that day. So Paul's GoPro, which I was running on my chesty as we were testing this motor on the I.A.T.A.K, literally lost that clip. We didn't notice till later, so we were going to go back and refilm it. But then here's something else that happened. We broke the Bixpy. Now this was user error 100%, and it's all Paul's fault.
50% maybe, 160, something like that.
So what happened, real quick? Just brief them on
what
it.
happened, I had there's a retractor line when this is on an arm on the other inflatable. I pulled that line up. I was like, oh, look at me go. But then I didn't clip the line to anything, so it was just dangling in the back. I hit reverse, it got sucked into the prop, jammed this, ruined the control module. Not a good look. So, but here's a great, actually, I will say this. If you guys like watch food reviews on TikTok, Keith Lee, very famous like food reviewer, he's so famous now when he does like food reviews, he doesn't want anyone to know that it's him when he's ordering. So he has like a cousin, you know, with a different email and a different name, go ahead and like place the order and like, you know, so that they don't know. He's like in secret, right? And so I did the same thing with Bixpy because I was like, I didn't want to be like, oh, I just emailed the owner or whatever and was like, here, give me a new motor. Not that we're associating ourselves with Keith Lee and saying we're famous, but that they know us because Bixpy sent us the motor. That's why. We have a relationship. Like I've met him a number of times. He's on our show. And I just didn't want to flex that. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'll pull a Keith Lee. So I get on my like personal email. I emailed Bixpy. I was like, hey, I'm having this problem. They were like, you can either send us the motor back and we'll look at it, or maybe you could send us like a video or picture. Maybe we can diagnose it that way. I took a 1-minute video just explaining the problem and showing it to him. I emailed it to him. They were like, oh, we think it's this. Send us the motor and the control module from the battery. So I took that off, put it in a box, $25 in shipping, sent it to them. The next day, this was like during Labor Day, the next day, they go, we figured out it's exactly what we thought it was. We're going to fix it. Where do you want it shipped? Warranted, no questions asked. And I was like, here's my address. 2 days later, so right after the holiday, the day after, it's in the mail. I get tracking. I have it 3 days later. So within 6 days, I went from, oh my God, what's happening, to I had it back at my house. So like, kudos to them. You should be, that makes me feel really, really good. I like that a lot. So makes it easier for us to recommend them to you guys because they do have good customer service. And it wasn't just that. They had sent us the Bixpy K-1 months and months ago, and they know us. This way we're able to do a little incognito check-in on their customer service. A+. Love that stuff. So now we're going to do the real test. I'm going to take out this skeg attachment. Oh, do you need help with that, sir? Yeah, it's just so heavy. It's so heavy. Get my wheels. I'm going to get your battery is what I'm going to get.
Hey, that water is cold, just FYI.
It feels really good.
We're running the light one. When we started this experiment, we had the big battery. Doesn't really matter. We just want to show that you can move an inflatable with that skeg attachment. When we originally tested this and we lost that footage, we had the cable hanging over the side. What I'd recommend is get the extension. You lose a very small percentage of your power of battery. It's like 1% per foot or something like that. So it's when I had the power cable over the side, though, it was noticeable that it was kind of like a wonky shopping cart and it was just drifting to one side. So I wanted to see if we ran the cable straight up through the back, if that made a difference, and that's what we're gonna do right now. And here we go with the rest of this clip. Functional.
We have.
All right. Okay, here we go. Which way is up? This way is up. All right, so we got our motor. I'm gonna do a little assist to move it. I'm gonna level this sucker up. I've already played this game. I know how this rolls. Not too worried about it. And to turn, you flip your paddle so this concave side is forward, right? And then you just dip it, or you can go for the assist paddle. Oh, there was a big topwater movement right there. So I'm just gonna rip up here. I'm gonna go around this buoy, come on back. But you guys can see, like, look at our view here. We're kind of cruising. Okay, so we still have a little bit of a drift. I'm gonna chalk that up to this not having, maybe that doesn't have the skeg. Maybe it's just a weight balance issue of me. I don't know. This is much less severe as compared to when I had the cable coming off this side. It was literally pulling me to the right before. So this is pretty neat. I think we're topped out. Yeah, we're topped out on speed. So I'm just gonna go up and around this buoy. Oop. And again, you can kind of assist turn, that's pretty slow, or you can just dip that paddle, whoop, and then we can turn. We can slalom as tightly as possible, and then we can speed up and we're headed back. And you can get a little extra speed if you want to go ahead and just paddle assist it. That totally makes a difference. I'm bumping over my wake and stuff. This is pretty slick. Like, if you just needed to cruise with a SUP or a inflatable of any sort that does not have the ability to attach a like a 4-bolt pattern motor or a transom attachment to it, but you do have a skeg, then you can find a way to make this work. We make 3 different skeg attachments that we showed you. We might have shown them in our unboxing as well, but depending on what type of skeg attachment you have, Bixpy's got you covered. They always do a good job with that. And then we're gonna do this. We're gonna go ahead and do a 180, right? So you just turn as far as you can, and then I like to push the paddle a little bit further, and you're just about 180 degrees pretty quick right there. So if I need to turn around, it's not an instant reverse, but it is a pretty quick reverse. And we just paddle assist our way back to the launch, and we are good to go. Pretty fun little option, I would say, by far. Gives you a ton of extra speed, super lightweight, so it sticks with like, hey, I got an inflatable or I got a SUP because I want to be like a throw and go ultralight setup. Like, you can still maintain that to an extent. All right, and we're done. All right, you guys, that is it for the I.A.T.A.K test with that Bixpy. Definitely something I would say is worth it if you run an inflatable that has a skeg attachment, you want some extra speed, you got a bigger lake that you live on or you go to fish, whatever you have got, this could be a good fit for you.
Someone got super upset that we pumped it up manually because that's what it comes with. That's why we did that. Yes, you can use an electric inflation device, sort of like this one. Do not use the ones that are like for mattresses though. You're gonna wanna go up in price. Unfortunately, you wanna get the upgrade. One, because they just handle a lot more pressure. So getting to that 15 PSI is not gonna be a problem for you. It's gonna be faster, more power, and you're not gonna short circuit. If you do get not a huge one, you can get one of these, the power converter. I wasn't planning on getting one of these, but it had a cigarette lighter on this one and no plug, and I wanted plug. My truck doesn't have one of these. It has a regular outlet in the back too. This also acts as an extension cable, so now I got a good probably 6-8 feet of cable. You don't think about that until you pull your truck up somewhere and you realize like, ow, this doesn't work. It's too far away. Fix that problem. This also gives you a lot more power to take full advantage of this motor. You can probably fill up one of those inflatables in about 3-4 minutes with one of these. Really, it comes down to, though, 0 effort. So I respect your opinion. Good call out, whoever said that. Poor take, though, because I'm just showing you how long it takes to fill up. Another thing that's really important on these, make sure it has this attachment, the same type of attachment as your manual pump. It's the only way that this is gonna work. Most of them have these. Just make sure, though, before you make a purchase. I got all this on Amazon. This was about $45, $50, and this was like 12 bucks, so 60 bucks to never pump again. You're welcome.
Just got back from the inaugural journey with the motor on the Wildy. A couple things I wanted to call out on this that I noticed from our setup. So notice how close these track packs are to my seat. 2 is too high. If you guys get the I.A.T.A.K and you want to do the track pack thing, just do 1 per side. It's nice that you got the 2 there so you can put your crate, you have track pack, cup holder, whatever else, maybe a rod holder up here, or you can do what I did with the cell phone mount, whatever you want to do. So you've already seen us steering with this thing. So what we do is, so we have a little pole attachment on this. It's just a broom handle you can grab from literally anywhere. It's kind of universally sized. Push-pull steering. So using just this lever, slight movement, when you're up in your seat, you just kind of move your hand back and forth, and then it's going to steer you right or left. Before we end the video, a couple things that you might want to think about or consider as you add these accessories. Number 1, keep in mind when you have a curved tune or when you have a slightly curved gunnel like we have on the Wilderness I.A.T.A.K, those little accessory patches, they do flex a little bit. So what you'll notice is that sometimes it's hard to get the bolt to catch. So I'd encourage you just kind of push down a little bit, not too hard, push down a little bit, and then screw it till you feel some tension, nice and easy. And once it catches, then just screw it like 1 1/4 more turns or until you feel tension without puncturing the tune. Just a quick heads up, it's not as hard as you think. We installed 6 of these today in about 10 minutes. Very easy to do and not puncture. Not a single puncture has happened. The only puncture that happened was your fault at your house. So one thing that Paul is noticed that I noticed as well is, as I was talking about on the Wildy over there, 2 is sometimes too high. That gets in the way of your paddling. So we're gonna go ahead and pop one of these off, and Paul's probably gonna move it back here. So you're gonna move it to the back side. Now you could do 2 in the back because obviously they're not. You can just go 3, just stack it to the moon, buddy. So you can go back as far as you want, but like that way it's not in the way of his paddling. So I would recommend that. Any of these close to you setups, don't do too high, just do 1 and you'll be fine. All right, y'all, that's all we got for this video. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you are considering adding any accessories to your inflatables, or if you're considering an inflatable and you're like, hey, wait, where do I put all my stuff? I get it. There is a way to handle this. Hopefully we showed you some things that will help you out today and gave you some tips on how to not heck it up, because the last thing we want you to do is get an inflatable and then deflate it permanently. Just so you know too, they are actually really easy to patch. So Paul was saying he just added a bunch of super glue, fixed that one. If you were to damage the hull in other spots, you can always add patches. There's ways to fix it. That's the nice thing about these. So as nervous as some people get, I hear you, it's not as scary as you think. Definitely something to consider. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we will catch you guys out there.